QB run is something that Buster Faulkner wants to feature no matter what school he's at. Much like Monken, he favors a mobile quarterback, someone who can extend plays and someone who is a threat to run. Let's start in tight right here. Unbalanced formation to the top. We got 5 up top, 4 at the bottom. The quarterback, of course, can go either way. Now notice the counter from Georgia. Unbalanced. They're going to actually shift right into where the play side is going. So again, some high level chess match going on here. Motion in. And hopefully, in this case, what Georgia Tech wants to have happen is they want the team to see they're unbalanced on this side, and they want to shift a player over there, ideally to get an even more numerical advantage on this side. But Georgia says, hey, we're going to shift our line here to account for the fact that we know you like to run out of empty. You like to run with the quarterback. They do it. Georgia Tech still going to get this done. And check out the blocking scheme here as you bring in your tight end from the outside. He is then going to be responsible for the edge player. You're going to take your tackle and you're going to pull him out. Watch this here. Get him moving out and get him on a much smaller player. Right now we're on a corner way off the ball. If we can get outside here and seal all these players in, these are all wasted players. That's dividing a defense, a bunch of wasted players over here. Blocking here at the next level, one up front here. Now can we get our running quarterback out? Little stumble. We still can. Big pickup there from Georgia Tech. Running the quarterback is a feature of Faulkner's offense. We should expect no matter who wins the job at Florida, they are going to be expected to run the football 5 to 8 times a game. And it's hopefully going to be something that does not result in a big hit. That's another one of Buster's philosophies. He doesn't want to put them in places where we're going to take huge hits. 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, predictable quarterback, kind of Tebow smash runs. But plays where you're catching them off guard. Again, you're stretching them out horizontally. You're confusing them. You're creating a divided defense. You're having a numbers game in your favor where you're going to reduce any kind of huge hit situation for the most part. Next drive, unbalanced formation to start here. Bottom of the screen, going to move into a balanced formation, 2x2, all to run a zone read. Now look, I haven't said this yet. I should say this. I do not know what the play call is. I do not know exactly what the call is every time. Buster does feature some runs that are just always handoffs. Not everything is actually a zone read, even if it looks like it's going to be a read run. Can't tell you for sure if it is the case or not the case. It's always going to look like it is, right? It's always going to look like it is. But regardless right here, going to read the outside man. You can see that Georgia here is trying to spill this. So they're going to go ahead and crash and spill. But this is, again, I love football for this reason, right? I hope you guys like watching the film review for this reason as well. This is what smart offense versus defense looks like, is Georgia Tech is accounting for the fact that Georgia's going to want to spill this because they know that obviously Haynes is a capable runner. So they're going to wind up having their motioned over tight end hit the filler here on the backside. So let's waste him because he's going to hold. He's going to crash down in here. We're going to waste him, hand it to our running back, crack him, and then again, get us one-on-one on a safety. Now look, part of Kirby's defense is to have excellent tackling safeties. That's why he plays split safety. It's why Georgia's defense tends to be really good, is that's not such a great matchup for you like it would be for a lot of other college matchups. But there you go, right? Now we're taking this handoff. They came inside here. They're trying to take both avenues away. Georgia is on this play and say, great, we're not going to allow you to hand it off or keep it. So Georgia Tech counters, little crack here, and then get you one-on-one to the outside here. And success, right? You're picking up 4 or 5 yards right there against Georgia. Successful run, not a big hit, pushed out of bounds. You account for what they want to do, how they're trying to stop you. You're ready for it. That's showing good preparation by Georgia Tech. And again, you're helping your offensive line, right? Another philosophy of Buster's is you're not just counting on your offensive line to be an NFL offensive line. You just line up and move people. You're trying to make it as easy as possible for them, give them positive matchups, plus matchups, build their confidence. Don't just say, hey, go move the guys in front of me. Much like Lincoln Riley, the feature run in Buster Faulkner's offense is the GT counter, right? The counter run is a feature. It's a staple. You're going to see it all the time. Something that we've often seen Florida have run against them all the time in the past. You're going to see it run for us all the time here. And here comes the GT counter. Unbalanced formation, nub tight end just by himself over here. Going to motion over the receiver. And now going to run a counter run, right? You're going to see a lot of counter runs. There it is right here. GT counter coming across. This play is not going to go for much. Georgia's going to be on top of this. Again, crashing, right? Crashing here. Hard in on this, exactly like we've talked about before in previous summaries. How do you stop this? You want to crush this slow-moving train by striking this block right here and stacking up both linemen, which he has effectively done. But Georgia Tech holds up here at the point of attack well enough to allow the running back to avoid where they really want to go, right through here, and stuff it up in here for a modest gain, right? So that's a win for Georgia there. But again, a feature on balanced formation, motion over, and then wind up attempting to run a counter run off of that. A counter can be run off any single formation Georgia Tech runs for the most part. If a running back winds up being in the backfield or a receiver does, or the quarterback is there by himself, they can run counter. For any good offense to work, you've got to pay attention to the numbers. Again, something we've talked about a lot on the channel as well. I know I've said like 5 times already, so my apologies for that. But you do need to make sure that you are solid with the numbers, right? That's very, very important. And right here at the bottom of your screen, we've got a 3-on-2 with a safety hovering here, and on top, a 2-on-2. So this looks favorable on the bottom right now. You feel pretty good about this. There's a lot of things you can run to threaten the defense here with this 3-on-2. Georgia Tech's going to motion in the running back and then go ahead and essentially run exactly what they want to run. But why motion him in? Why not just leave him there? You're already 3-on-2. Well, notice we've increased a leverage point here. We've moved that linebacker, that assignment in now. And now we're 2-on-1 on the outside. So one of the most classic combinations you can run, and one we've modeled before, you can run a go and you can run a pop. One of the most absolute classic combinations out of this, and there's really nothing this guy can do about it. Because if you hold this long enough and look, and he does not go with the go route, you stick that. If he bails, you hit the pop route. And this guy doesn't have leverage to stop you, right? So here it is, right here. Quick little run fake. Let's try to make sure we occupy as many of these as possible. And let's stick this pop because we're out levering him. Get it out there fast. And now he does not have time to make that stop. And then there it is. Cuts upfield. And again, that's a handoff for 7 yards. It's an extended handoff for 7 yards, whether it's air raid, whether it's Buster Faulkner, whether it's Monken, right, whether it's Lane Kiffin. You want to find ways to get very simple throws that pick up 5+ yards. That's an example of it right here. It's 13-3 Georgia, by the way, with 12 minutes left to go in the third quarter. That's where we are in this football game. And Georgia Tech's going to try to hit him here. They're going to do this several times a game at Georgia Tech. Will they do this as often in Florida? I don't know, but I would bet that we will. And what they do this is hand the ball off to a wide receiver. Could also be a tight end in this case. Georgia Tech used them, but to a wide receiver. And Florida's got a plethora of options. You can already imagine with whom to do this to. And again, when you're threatening the entire part of the field, motion out here, unbalanced formation, yet again, load it up to this side. Let's spread the width out even more here. Let's make it look like we're going to take all this space we want over here. And then let's get a pitch fake going out here. Meanwhile, let's get a counter going here with our receiver coming underneath for this pitch. Right? So again, here's a counter feature right here. We're going to pull, tons of pulling in this offense. And hopefully, here's your occupied corner. He's not looking. He's going to cover this pass, which is a decoy. You got safety with eyes on, and you're hoping to divide all these guys out of the play and then give yourself a numerical matchup. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Versus 1, 2, 3, and then your safety being your 4th. That's your hope. That's your hope here with him being the 5th. That's the goal. That's the numbers game you're seeking. Ball is going to get pitched to him, and you're going to have a great play here, right? This is going to be a great play. He is the unblocked man. They are hoping that he takes the window dressing and just steps himself 1 or 2 steps this way, but he does not. He's going to wind up making a great play, sniffs out the play, which doesn't allow what we want to have happen here for Buster Faulkner. And there it is. We have to alter this. He gets a hand on him. He slows it down. But even with that, we're still going to pick up a first down, right? So that's a heroic play by Georgia, an individual hero play there, where if he doesn't do that, you can imagine if this doesn't alter him here, he's following tightly behind this line. We got a block here. We're going to get a block here. And this is going to be a very different play, right? As it stands, it still goes for something. So again, you're threatening the entire width of the field. Unbalanced formation yet again, right? Unbalanced formation. Now look, in this case, if I'm the OC here, I'm feeling really, really good about passing into this scenario. I mean, I love this, right? I love everything I'm seeing here. I've got 3-on-2 with a third who's out levered. There's a lot of concepts I like here, right? I'm thinking go. I'm thinking wheel behind that. And then I'm thinking, seam right here. That's a tough look in that situation, right? And there's multiple things you can do. Buster here with Georgia Tech, going to try to play the strengths of his quarterback. That's going to be motion in our receiver. We're going to fake, right, the sweep handoff here. Why? We're trying to divide the defense. Let's get these two guys wide split, take them out here. We'd love to get rid of that safety, probably can't here. So instead, we're going to account for him with our blocker, and then we're going to run counter. Right, here comes counter, QB counter right here. Step this way, QB counter this way. We said they'll counter off anything, and they will. And there's your counter run. Let's get one there. Let's get head up on here. And let's get out of the gate. Right? Positive pickup there. Again, against the Georgia defense, here's first down, picking up 7 yards. Easy, safe plays. That's good offense in this case. So a nice productive play there. Counters from all types of looks. Again, you have not seen basically the same formations entire game film we've seen so far, and that's something Buster hangs his hat on. He promises you are not going to see the same play from the same formation in any given game. You can count on that. All right, 2nd down and 3. Georgia Tech, 2x2 here, about as basic as it gets. Split pretty wide, right? Spreading the field wide. Georgia here in what seems to be more of a pass defense in a light box. 6 in the box versus Georgia Tech 7s with a running quarterback, right? In this case, a running quarterback, you get a +1 there. So a classic college spread look. And now we're going to run a counter, right? Here comes your GT counter this way. Yet, as Buster Faulkner also talks a lot about, they always want to make sure they put on film and they put in games that they will run the other way. They will run away from where the blocking is actually going, which seems a little crazy. But the goal here is to always threaten, right? Now, look, Georgia struggled with this the year before. Buster carved them up. This year, they're ready. Notice here what is going to wind up being the weak side linebacker, but not at the start of the snap. He's going to wind up being on the backside. If he does not read this play immediately, then you've got a blocker here, a blocker here. You're racing to the outside, safety 101. That's the kind of matchups you're trying to get into if you're Georgia Tech. Instead, he gets that read, and he's there, right? He's there. Now, look, we're still getting a first down here. Still getting a first down. Simple play, really easy. These are first downs by formations. These are really simple plays for a quarterback to execute. That's what good coordinators do, is they wind up making this happen. There are certainly plenty of questions about whether Buster Faulkner is going to be able to do this in the SEC versus premier personnel groupings every single week. That is a question he will get to answer at Florida. I am not using this summer video to opine whether or not he is going to do it or not do it yet. As always, we will evaluate what happens during the season in real time to see how it works. The purpose of this video is to show you what he's doing, what he likes to do, what he wants to do, and then we'll go into the lab during the season and see just how well he's accomplishing that. These are the kind of plays where as a coach, you probably just die a little bit on the inside, right? Huge game, you're down 13-3, you're driving, you've had a nice drive, you're now at the shot area of the football field where you want to take a shot. Opposing teams know it, you know it, and Georgia's going to walk into exactly what you want, right? You've seen a lot of run plays to get here, a lot of simple screen plays. Going to start with a 3x2 formation, 3 in the bottom, 2 up top, motion the receiver over, fake the sweep, which you will hand off. That's a real threat. And you can see Georgia's coming for it here. And now you've got the safety who is confused. The motion shift is going to get him. He's going to come down following what's happening here in the backfield. Watch what happens here, as does this player down here. And now you're split safetying. So they are not responsible for anything happening on this side of the field. And now you're going to have a guy running absolutely wide open because the safety is going to blow this. There goes your tight end into nothing but wide open layup, touchdown, grass. The only problem is that all of this window dressing here was created in hopes to hit a one-on-one versus a safety matchup here, right? This is the classic. You get a post dig, right? One of the most classic and best concepts in football. Post dig, clear the safety down on the dig. If he eats the dig, then you're going to wind up throwing the post. If, of course, he goes back, then you stick the dig. Pretty simple read. That's what he's reading right now. The only problem is you've just got an absolutely naked tight end here just running for a layup touchdown. And the corner knows at this point in time, right? The safety rather knows, oh no, this is bad. But going to get bailed out. It's unfortunate he's reading this concept over here, which is a great concept, right? We love seeing this in the film. We love seeing the post dig right here, and he just is going to let this go. He's got space. He can throw this anywhere he wants, right? I'd like to see this ball obviously be thrown flatter and out in front. The quality of this ball will dictate what happens here. He's got leverage. He's got space. You need to put this ball in a place he can go run to it and keep him on his back. Instead, this is a bad ball. It's a terrible ball. Way overthrown. You waste the leverage that you have. It's a pick. So that great drive, you throw a pick, and on top of that, you miss a wide open touchdown. So that's painful. That is so painful, right? Good play design results in a wide open player. The original look is still favorable and good. You could definitely rip that throw if you want, and you wind up getting a pick out of that. And that's football. Those are humans playing the game. Tough look there for Georgia Tech. Down 10 with a turnover. Motion. Still 13-3. Tech gets the stop. Unbalanced formation. Take a look at this formation, top of your screen here. Unbalanced formation, trying to get the defense to communicate, motioning back over now, unbalanced the other way on the quick swap. Bring our receiver in, hand the ball off to him, get our running back as a lead blocker here. It effectively becomes a 2-back set for the most part. Get him up on the safety, count on him to get wasted on the inside with the window dressing, and we're racing out to the edge. That's the plan, and it works. There we go. Again, Georgia, this is why Georgia's Georgia, right? There's not many guys in the country that have this kind of foot speed on the sweep to actually make this tackle. Because if he doesn't, you're looking at touchdowns. Now the question is with Florida and their personnel and their speed, do those become touchdowns? Do they become touchdowns versus teams that don't have Georgia's personnel? It's a great question to ask. I'm sure it's one that Buster can't wait to see happening in real time in the fall. I mentioned earlier that Buster's going to feature quarterbacks running out of empty. We're at an empty here, 3x2 up the top, and this is going to wind up being a counter run. A motion from the tight end becomes a counter. Here comes your counter run. Open up this way, and then come this way, right? So they love to do this, and it's not going to be on predictable downs like third down. Loves to do it on first downs, 2nd and 3 right here. Likes to do it on downs when defenses tend to give it to you. There it is right there. Kind of gets stuck up in the muck, but then again, plus runner, right? So what a plus runner does here as a quarterback, looks like he's stuck in here. Georgia sells out for that. We're out the gate, picking up chunk yardage there with a simple QB run on 2nd down and 3. But a lot of stuff going on beforehand that leads to that. Unbalanced formation again, nub tight end here, no receiver to the bottom. What are we going to get? Let's motion the running back over. Let's motion him back over. Let's fake. Right, let's fake the sweep to him. Let's get the defense going this way. Let's divide the defense. All these guys are wasted. Goodbye. And let's try to play 4-on-4 football right here with, of course, a GT counter. That's exactly right. Here comes your counter again. Let's switch the numbers up now. And let's make it 1, 2, right? 3 and 4 versus 4 with our +1. You can see the theme going on here. And there is King. Picking up, again, an easy 5 or 6 yards. Now, do I expect Florida to run the ball as frequently as you are seeing Georgia Tech? No, I do not. If you're thinking, oh my gosh, I've seen a ton of quarterback counter. I've seen a lot of little runs and screens. That scares me. That scares me too. I do not think that's a recipe for winning in the SEC. You will not win anything of substance doing that. Now, I can't say for certain what Faulkner's going to do, but his history would suggest he's going to tailor it to the personnel. And I'm pretty sure that Buster knows he can't win titles running this kind of stuff either. But at Georgia Tech, he was winning 9 games running this kind of stuff, right? He was maximizing what he had and making it work. So again, just a quick little press on the panic button. I do not believe you're going to see this being run significantly by Florida, but I do expect that you will see it used. You will see it utilized. It will be a portion of the playbook. I do expect, again, Florida to be throwing the ball more. I think Buster Faulkner is well aware of the Florida ethos. I think Summerall's well aware of the frustration Florida fans had with the Napier-style offense and just kind of what the brand of Florida's offense should be like. And again, Buster is an air raid guy, is a guy who's passed before, but the Georgia Tech film is the most instructive of some of these core concepts he does like to utilize, which we keep hitting on over and over again in this review. But I wanted to pause here to tell you, if you're panicking and like, oh man, this is not an exciting game, I'm picking the hardest matchup for Georgia Tech. They're the most outmanned and outmatched talent-wise in this matchup against the team they creased the year before, where we could all have an exciting coordination of all the great things they did, just to give you an idea, again, of what these matchups are probably going to be like, except Florida's personnel is going to be equal to, if not better, than the majority of its opponents next season. So it's a preview. It's a look at concepts. But again, I do not expect a lot of what we're seeing to be what Florida's going to do every single down and distance. But also you should note, again, like I said at the top, he's not Mike Leach and he's not Lane Kiffin. It is not going to be that style. So it's somewhere in between. Happy to report here that Georgia Tech uses rub routes. We're in the fourth quarter now in this game. Important to know in a bunch set here. Pretty basic and classic look from Georgia Tech. Almost boring here from Faulkner, right? No pre-snap motions, about as simple as it gets, but a solid route combo. Going to clear out here to the outside, and then we're going to wind up clearing out with a trail concept right here, this route. So let's get in here. Let's occupy both of these bunch defenders and run this out route with the quarterback motioning out to it out of the gate, right? Let's make this as easy as possible. There it is. Good trail technique. Get right behind him. These two now have already essentially messed up their call because they're trying to east-west this, but the trail technique really makes that tough. When you're right behind him, he can go anywhere. Now let's go ahead and get out of here. This is going to be done with scouting. How does Georgia want to play this bunch set from this formation? So this is your first read. What do good OCs do? They give you easy throws on first reads like that, right? That's what a good offensive coordinator does for your team. You need easy completions like that, and they get one. First down. We saw a lot of jet sweeps and orbit motions in the seasons with Billy Napier. And this is what it looks like when teams actually respect these motions when you actually utilize them, is look at what's happening here with the action that they're going to wind up handing this ball off. Safety coming down, linebacker shifting over here to account for this. Take a look at this. And that's what happens. And because of that, you can play off that. So now we're going to put our tight end out here and just sit them into the spot they're vacating because they are, again, having to cover the entire width of the football field. Easy throw for your quarterback. Nice chunk yardage on first down. First down from a first down then becomes an explosive play. That's all created by the entire system, of course, that is being run. All right, 5 minutes left and last play of this film review. I know it's probably over too soon, but don't worry. We're going to be breaking down the spring game as well as every single game that occurs in the fall where all the real action happens here with Florida players. But last play, nothing super exciting here. Unbalanced formation. That's what I want ringing in your head. Unbalanced formation. Motion over and then confusion. Right, here's the key. You start unbalanced. You're going to confusion right here. He's going to point and bail. And again, easy throws. Georgia Tech's down 10 here. 5 minutes left. So, Georgia's willing to give them some yards. But still, that's a bust. He's bailing out. He's sitting low. That's an easy throw. Right? Easy throw right here. Piece of cake. Bam. Pick up 10 yards. That's what you want to see, right? You want to see your OC having an idea of how to generate easy throws. And of course, the motions they're utilizing actually creating openings. Otherwise, they are a total waste of time and they become window dressing and gimmicky ones at that. Not something that you want to see. So Georgia Tech's not going to score. They're going to wind up actually getting a Hail Mary off, though, in this game to tie. They don't quite get it done. They lose by just 1 touchdown. So 2 years in a row, they played Georgia very, very tough. And again, in the 2024 season, they scored a bunch of points, went to multiple overtimes, and ultimately couldn't get the job done. But I could have showed you games, and others have done that, where you see beautiful plays and touchdowns and great stuff going on. But for the last time, I wanted to show you what it looked like versus an actual opponent Florida will face. And obviously, Kirby's now got multiple years of experience versus Buster, and Georgia's our direct rival. So it's a nice look at what Buster's going to have to utilize and overcome. And this should make for a really nice companion piece of what this looked like at Georgia Tech, and then what the offense is going to look like at Florida, which I do expect to be different, right? And that's one main reason why I really wanted to focus on this game. We'll have a nice bookend. 2025 Georgia Tech, Buster Faulkner, with 2026 Florida versus Georgia. How do those look? How do they differ? And then we'll have a really nice idea of how, Buster at Florida may be. And so that's kind of the idea and the vision behind this choice for the film review. But all that being said, Buster's track record himself, of course, has been very, very solid. He's had some excellent performances on there. He's had a few years that weren't so great, but generally speaking, as we covered in the podcast, his success rate as well as his explosive play rate has been positive. He's added value everywhere he's been. He is not in the tier that a Lane Kiffin is in. We covered that in the podcast as well. Lane Kiffin's numbers have been better as an OC. They've been stronger. They've been more explosive. They've been more successful. So he's not in that category yet, despite being, of course, one of the highest paid coordinators now in the game. I still believe he has a lot to prove, and I think he knows that. And I think if he can do it at Florida, he will then reach the upper pantheon of the Monkins, of a Lane Kiffin, right? Of the established OCs who have done it at the highest level. For now, it remains to be seen. The jury is out. But we can say this: the offense that Florida will be running in 2026 will be nothing like what Billy Napier ran. We will feature multiple tight end sets. Buster Faulkner does run 2 TEs 20% or so of the time, but how they're going to be utilized is going to be very, very different. Florida will run the ball. Florida will be a GT counter team. They will be a zone running team. They will also pass the ball to all levels. You can count on all of that. But most importantly, we'll have a very tactical and game plan oriented offensive coordinator who's going to feature the personnel groupings and try to make things as easy for whatever quarterback is playing there, and has a track record of adopting and adapting his offense to his talent, his personnel, and the league he is in. And that's the part I'm most excited about for him. Is I do believe that tactical coordinators are generally the best speaking. I do love systems. I do have things I prefer to do on my own if I'm, of course, coordinating or running something. But ultimately, you do have to beat your opponent. And every opponent is different. And college football makes that tough. You just don't have the same time you do in the NFL. You do not have players who understand the game as well as NFL players do. But Buster Faulkner is attempting to marry those concepts into the college game, something he saw Todd Monken do when Georgia had some of their best offensive runs ever with an unheralded Stetson Bennett at the helm. So we will see what happens here with the Gators and Buster Faulkner. I certainly hope you enjoyed this film review. It was great to get back into the lab and create one of these for you. As always, let me know whatever comments and suggestions you have. And again, it felt like it was too short. You want to see more. Don't worry. We'll have some actual Florida footage to break down. It will be a spring game, but it will still be something in the orange and blue, and perhaps a small preview of what Buster may be leaning towards as he installs his offense here with the Gators. As always, I'm James DiVirgilio. See you next time. Go Gators.